This is my file, my personal record. It's not about some grand sensational case, but about the man behind the legend. My name is Dr. John Hamish Watson, and I believe it is high time you knew the real Sherlock Holmes.
You see, everyone knows the name, Sherlock Holmes. It echoes through the years. But that's not the whole story, not by a long shot. The world clamors for his methods, his cold, hard logic. But I was there. I knew the man, the friend. And it is my duty, I feel, to make sure the world remembers him not just as a mind, but as a human being.
So, where does a story like ours truly begin? You might think it starts in the London fog, at 221B Baker Street, but no. To really understand our partnership, you first have to understand me. My story, you see, did not begin in London at all. It was forged far away, in the heat of battle, with the Empire, with medicine, and with war.
These are the points on the map of my life that, well, they made me who I am today. I started as a promising doctor, trained as an army surgeon for Her Majesty's forces, but it was my time in the Second Anglo-Afghan War that truly shaped me. And the Battle of Maiwand in 1880, that day didn't just alter my life, it irrevocably shattered it and remade it. The man of action you've read about in my chronicles, that is where he was truly born.
Wounded, ruined, adrift. Those 3 words, they sum up my return to London perfectly. A Giselle bullet had done its work on my shoulder, and enteric fever had nearly finished the job. I came home with what they called a ruined constitution, and my prospects were just as bleak. I was a man without a purpose, set adrift in the very city that was supposed to be my home. And yet, it's funny how fate works, isn't it? It was something as mundane, as practical, as needing to save a bit of money that changed everything. My modest army pension wouldn't stretch far in London, so I needed cheap lodgings. That simple necessity, well, it put me on a path to an encounter in a chemical laboratory that would define the rest of my days. And that meeting, of course, was with him, Sherlock Holmes. Which brings us to our unlikely partnership. From the very start, from the moment I first set foot in 221B Baker Street, it was abundantly clear we were 2 vastly different creatures. You could say we were 2 opposite poles of the human experience, somehow sharing the same small space. And this really says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you had Holmes, the pure mind, an absolute deductive genius, yes, but also abrasive, eccentric, living a life that, well, let's just say it defied convention. And on the other side, there was me, grounded, I'd like to think, in common sense, a steadfast, modest Victorian gentleman. We were truly 2 sides of the very same coin.
So you might be wondering, where did I fit in all this? I was no master of deduction, I'll be the first to admit it. But Holmes himself put it best. He once called me a conductor of light. A wonderful phrase, isn't it? My role wasn't to be the source of the brilliance, not at all. My job was simply to help channel it. I was the sounding board against which he could sharpen his own incredible theories.
My purpose really had several layers. My medical background, for one, came in handy more times than I can count, providing critical forensic insights that Holmes, for all his genius, might overlook. Then, of course, I was the chronicler. I took his cold, hard logic and, well, I gave it a story, made it something people could feel. And in doing so, I suppose, I became your eyes and ears. I let you see this incredible man through the eyes of an ordinary one.
But it went deeper than all of that. Our partnership had a heart, a real one. Because Holmes's world, you must understand, was a dangerous one, full of shadows and mortal threats. My role wasn't just to observe and take notes. It was to protect. And above all else, it was to be his friend. And that loyalty, especially in the face of danger, that's what truly defined our bond.
When I look back, my duty in our partnership really came down to these 3 things. I had to be ready to offer my medical expertise at a moment's notice. I needed to be that reliable sounding board for his mind. And when the situation called for it, I had to be ready to offer steadfast protection. Believe me, it was anything but a passive role. It was active, and it was absolutely essential to our success.
You must never forget, I was a soldier before I was ever a storyteller, and that part of me, it never left. My old service revolver was as much a tool of our trade as his magnifying glass ever was. While Holmes was lost in thought, piecing together an intellectual puzzle, someone had to be ready for the very real, very physical dangers we faced. And that someone was me. This really gets to the core of it.
Holmes could be a purely clinical machine, a brilliant one, mind you, but a machine nonetheless. I like to think that my emotional warmth, my very humanity, it served to anchor him. Truthfully, I was often the only person on God's green earth who could tolerate his eccentricities. I helped keep that great mind from simply floating away into the ether of pure cold logic.
It's a question I have often asked myself over the years. Was I merely his chronicler, or was I something more? Was I his conscience? We certainly had our disagreements. His methods could be cold, and his use of cocaine, well, that was a constant source of profound concern for me. But through it all, I tried to be a steadfast moral compass. I wasn't just there to record what he did, I was there to remind him of what was right.
And all of this, my chronicles, our adventures, it brings us to the legacy I suppose I left behind. In the end, the stories I wrote weren't just a collection of baffling cases. They became the story of an extraordinary friendship. They became a testament to Holmes's own words, that even a mind like his would be lost without his Boswell.
This shows the difference between us quite starkly, doesn't it? For Holmes, there was only ever the game. His life was the work, and the work was his life. But me, I always kept one foot firmly planted in the real world. My medical practice, my marriage to my dear Mary, these things grounded me. And I believe, in a way, they grounded him too. It kept our adventures tethered to reality, made them feel believable.
My loyalty was tested. Oh, it was tested in the most extreme way imaginable. After that dreadful, terrible day at the Reichenbach Falls, when I believed him gone from this world forever, there were those who sought to tarnish his good name. I stood against them all. I defended his honor and his memory against any and all libel. My belief in my friend was absolute, unshakable, even beyond the grave.
It is a strange thing to consider, but in simply telling our story, it seems I unwittingly created something, an archetype, I suppose they call it now, the modern sidekick, the loyal friend who stands beside the brilliant mind. I never set out to do that, of course. I just proved what I always knew in my bones to be true, that every great mind needs a heart.
And so, that is why I have written all this. That is why I have opened this file for you. To prove to the world that a mind like Sherlock Holmes's is a true wonder. But a friendship like ours, well, a friendship like ours is nothing short of a necessity.